Hey guys, my name is Oryam, and today I'm going to be teaching you the guitar part to Here Comes the Rain by Rehash. I've made free tabs for this song available for download using the link in the description, or you can also just follow along with the tabs that are going to be down here on screen as we walk through this song step by step. So that being said, let's dive into the tutorial. First things first, this song is originally played in a very low tuning. It's actually C sharp standard. So that means that your strings would be as follows: C sharp, F sharp, B, E, G sharp, and another C sharp. To make things more convenient though, as we go through this tutorial, I'm just going to be leaving my strings in standard tuning. So just remember, if you want to play along to the real version in the actual key that it's played in, you're just going to have to tune down 1.5 steps. With that out of the way, let's get started with the intro. So we're going to start up here with a shape on the 7th fret of the low E string, the 9th fret of the A string, and the 8th fret of the D string. Okay, and then we're going to play 6-5-4, followed by a ghost note on the 6th string. So ghost note is just one of those notes that is very quiet, so it's not very prominent. And if you listen to the actual song recording, it's very hard to hear this note in the song. So you can even skip it if you don't want to play this. But I like to throw it in just very quietly. And then we're going to play the 4th string followed by the 5th string. Okay, now the same exact pattern is going to apply for our picking hand as we drop our index finger down 1 fret. Okay, we play the same thing. And then we're going to change shapes once again. So come back to this original shape that we played the first one in, and then just drop each finger down a string. Okay, so now this is our new shape, and we're also going to start by basically just arpeggiating each one of those notes, followed by a ghost note, and then 3-4 in this case. And then this time we're also going to finish it off with another kind of arpeggio. Okay, and then right before the end of that bar, we're going to play a quick 4th string, and then hammer on from the 4th fret of the low E string to the 6th fret. And then here we have to be ready to come right back up to the 7th fret of the low E string because we're going to come back to this original shape, and it's very fast. Okay, so altogether, kind of this first set of bars here. Okay, and I actually played the first note of the next bar, which is going to start the same as the very first bar that we learned. Just like that. Okay, now from here, once again, we're going to drop down, but we're just going to play that first arpeggio, and then we're going to come back for that kind of ghost note, and now we're going to drop the bass note down a second time. Right, so we started here, and then we dropped the bass note down a fret, and now we're going to drop it to the 4th fret. So if we try to play it like this, you'll notice that's kind of a stretch, right? So instead of playing the 7th fret of the, or what is that, 9th fret of the A string and 8th fret of the D, I replaced that with the 4th fret of the D and 3rd fret of the G. And those are the same notes. So we're just going to come down here with this shape, and we're playing 6, and then 3, and 4. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. We're not going to arpeggiate it, from low to high, pitch-wise. We're actually skipping to the highest note and then going back. Then we come back up to this shape, and we actually play the same exact thing we did the first time around. Except for we don't go. This time, we're just going to slide down. We're going to play that 9th fret of the D string, and then let it slide down into what is going to become an E major chord. Now here marks the start of the chords, and that is going to continue for the rest of the song. There's basically just one strumming pattern and a bunch of different chords. Okay. Before we get into that though, I want to take a moment to just revisit everything that we've covered in the intro, along with a metronome, and see if we can play it at full speed. Awesome job. Now we're going to start with the chords, like I said, and the strumming pattern is going to remain the same for pretty much the rest of the song. So first I want to teach you that, and then you can just throw the different chords underneath it, and you'll be good to go. So this strumming pattern in its simplest form looks like this. So it's like down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then on top of this, I'm obviously just adding a little bit of variation in like what specific strings I'm actually aiming for. I don't want to just hit all 6 strings every time. And that's why you'll see in the tab, there's like sometimes where I'm going to be only playing maybe 2 or 3 of the notes of that chord. And that's because I'm just kind of aiming for maybe just some of the lower notes or some of the higher notes, and trying to kind of create some variety in what's happening rhythmically, instead of it just being right. It's more like, okay, so that's just something for you to play around with. You don't have to follow the tabs like note for note. It's just kind of one way that you could go about spicing this up and creating a little bit more variety and having a little bit more fun as a guitar player, because most of the musicality is really going on in the melody. So that being said, we're going to start with an E major chord, and that's going to look like this. Right, so just 1 bar, and then we go to an E major shaped G. Right, so third fret bar chord. Excuse me. Same strumming pattern for 1 bar, and then to your traditional open C major chord. Here, we're going to actually change chords halfway through the bar though. So we're going to go from a C major to a C major 7 just by lifting off that index finger. And it's going to sound something like this. And then back. And back off. Right, so basically just we repeat that strumming pattern twice and cycle from C major, C major 7, C major, C major 7. And that is it for kind of the first round. Then we're going to cycle back to the very beginning with the E major. G, C, C major 7, back to, actually, so the second time we go around, we're not going to go back to a normal C major. We're going to go back to a C minor. Okay, so we're going to play that as a bar chord on the 3rd fret, like so. And then here the strumming pattern is still the same. And then we're going to hit an A minor as the lyrics kick in. But before that, let's just cover all the chords that we've learned so far in this kind of post-intro instrumental section. Okay, so let's try actually with the metronome. 2, 3, 4. To the G, to the C, C major 7, C, C major 7, back to the E, to the G, C, C major 7, back to C minor. And now, like I said, as the lyrics kick in, we hit an A minor chord. Right, just 1 bar, same strumming pattern. And now we go to a G chord. And from the few videos that I actually managed to find of Rehash playing this song, it seems that they do play an open G major chord here, as opposed to the bar chord version. But once again, like, this is the same thing that goes, with the rhythm or the strumming pattern. You can change this as you like. Like, there's no saying you can't play the G like this or up here. Right, so just mess around with this. But the way I wrote it down in the tabs is with this one. 1 bar, and then back to C, and to the C major 7 thing. C, to C major 7. And then we cycle back around. So then we go back to the A minor. Right, a lot of repetition. It's very simple. The melody's doing most of the talking, no pun intended. And then we get to the G. And then C, C major 7, C, C major 7. Right, so it's literally the exact same thing, just looped twice in a row. So let's just play that through real fast so that we can kind of get a feel for the tempo and whatnot. 3, 4. really quick announcement. If you want to master the guitar so that you can confidently express yourself, then I have a private mentorship program that might be the perfect fit for you. To see if you would qualify, just apply using the link down in the description. And I'm looking forward to talking about how we can help you reach your guitar goals faster than ever before. With that being said, let's get back to the tutorial. All right, and now we hit an E minor chord. So introducing kind of a new chord in here. And by the way, all the chord diagrams are on the tabs as well. So if you don't know how to play any of these chords, you can go download the tabs using the link in the description, and you'll be able to find the diagrams there. Okay. So we have this E minor, 1 bar, same strumming pattern, to the G major, to C major 7, back to C major 7. Right, so it's like exactly the same as what we just did prior to this, except instead of the A minor, we're replacing it with an E minor. And once again, we're going to repeat this twice. So then we go back to the E minor, G major, C major 7, C major 7. And now we're going to start kind of the beginning of the chorus part, right? Here comes the rain. So we land on an A minor chord, and once again, same strumming pattern, 1 bar. But now we're going to go to a C major chord, and there's no C major 7 this time, just stays on C. To a G, once again playing the open version, to a B minor. Right, so this is the same shape as our C minor, just a half step down. Also for 1 bar before going back around. Lots of repetition. C, G, B minor. And now this next time around, we're going to go somewhere completely new, and that is D minor. And we're going to be playing that not the traditional way you're probably used to, but actually up here on the 10th fret with an E minor shaped bar chord. The reason being because there's some like lead guitar stuff that goes on that kind of hits those notes in the song. So I figured why not play it up here, so that way you can kind of be the rhythm and the lead guitars at the same time. Right, so basically I'm just keeping the same strumming pattern, but being careful to only highlight those notes on the up strum. And the D minor actually goes for 2 bars, but what I like to do is play, so I play it up here, this first bar, and then I come down to this shape for the second bar, and then halfway through I pull off the bar, and I'm left with like this D minor add 9 because I have the open high E string. And I think he does that in the actual video of them playing as well. Once again, have fun with it, experiment. You can try it down here, you can try it wherever, but this is just what I happen to put in the tabs. All right, so then after the D minor add 9, we go to a C major, but we're going to play it as a bar chord this time, up here on the 8th fret, same shape as like our G, and it's going to be for 2 bars, just like a D minor, down to a G, also 2 bars. So you'll notice this section is kind of the ambient instrumental part of the song. So they like to kind of hover on those chords for a while. So we're going to have 2 bars for basically all the chords here. And we're going to go to a B flat major. So we just move this same exact shape up to where the root is on the 6th fret. Now here, we have something unique going on the second bar of this B flat major. And so here we're going to cut the strumming pattern short on the end of the 3rd beat. Okay, so instead of playing the full, we're actually going to do, and now for the last beat, we just play the 7th fret of the 6th string. And that's because I hear the bass doing this in the song. When I was kind of arranging this, I could hear that kind of movement in the bass, and then I actually wasn't quite sure where it resolved because there's a lot of resolution happening at the same time. But the way I chose to do it for this arrangement, is just to slide down to the 3rd fret, and then we're gonna shape out this C major 7. Right, so it's just like a regular bar chord, but we're just dropping this note here on the G string down 1 fret. And then we're also playing that G on the 6th string. So it's really a C major 7 over G, if you want to be technical, right? And here we're just going to hold this for a full bar. Just let it ring out. Usually the drums are doing like kind of a fill, I think, in the original version. So you can just hold it. If you want, you can try a fill on your own. And then we're going to come back around to actually the very beginning of the strumming where we go to the E. As a matter of fact, it's actually going to be exactly the same. We have E, G, the bar chord, right? C, back to C major 7, C, C major 7, and then back around, E, G, C, C major 7, C minor. Now we have something very interesting going on, because in the original version, here starts like this, another instrumental ambient section where the guitar has a lot of reverb, but is very quiet. And so I did my best to try to emulate the sounds that are happening. So we're going to be palm muting and starting on E minor. And it's really the same progression that we already worked on earlier. So it's E minor, G major, excuse me, and then C major 7, C major 7, back. But now we're going to be muting, like I said, with our palm just by placing it here on the strings. And it gives it that very quiet, muted sound that's kind of more percussive feeling. And it's kind of still the same strumming pattern, but here we're more picking out individual notes. So we start with 2 down strums, and then I'm aiming for ideally the B string, but any of the higher strings will do. And then going back down to the G, back up to the B, and then kind of hitting more of those bassy tones, and then back to the B for 2 notes. So it's like, that makes sense. Once again, it's like this is not something that you should read and try to copy 100%, because this is just kind of my interpretation. You can listen to the song yourself, see what sounds right to you, and just try to copy it as best as you can. Or not, you can always just make it your own as well, right? And from there, we go to a G major chord. Once again, same exact thing happening with our picking hand. So we're still palm muting, and we're doing the same kind of. And then to C. And we're also taking our finger off there halfway through and turning into that C major 7 once again. And then back to the E minor. And now this second time around, we're going to go through the exact same thing again. But the second time, it starts each bar with a strum. And I don't palm mute that, just because if you palm mute it, I mean, you can, but it's kind of difficult to really hear that. It doesn't ring out, right? So. So same exact thing happening. I just start each bar with kind of a full strum. And then we're going to a C minor. So it's the same thing that we played when we used this chord progression in the very beginning of the song, when there's no palm muting or anything. The first time we kind of end it with the C to C major 7, and then another C to C major 7. The second time we go C to C major 7, and then we end it with the C minor. And the beginning of this C minor here now in this present moment is going to be palm muting, but then we have this little lick, right? Just kind of outlining the chord. So that's going to be slide from 4 to 5 on the G string, and then we go to the 4th fret of the B string, and then we come down to the 3rd fret, hammer on, pull off, then 1st fret of the B, open. Right, so all together it's like. And then we're going to come back into some more lyrics, some more melody, and some more strumming. So that being said, let's just go back through this instrumental palm muting section and try to work it out with the metronome. right, now we start up the lyrics once again with an A minor. And this is going to just ring out for an entire bar before transitioning to a C major. Once again, just one strum that lasts the entire bar. And then we're back to our G major bar chord shape and the same strumming pattern we've been using. And now back to B minor, right? Like we're used to in the chorus. Except for this time, there's some harmonies going on with like some background singers. And so I thought it'd be cool to, instead of playing just the traditional B minor, incorporate that kind of background singing. And that would be in the form of a B minor 7. That's the note that they're singing. And so what we have now is 7th fret of the 6th string, and then 7th of the G, 7th of the B, and 5th of the high E. And then we also have the open D. I wouldn't let the A string ring out open because it can get muddy with that bass note. So I'm actually muting it by just kind of letting my middle finger rest on that string and mute it that way. Same starting pattern, and then we go to A minor. But this time I'm going to play it here. After the A minor, we're going to go to a C major 7. So it's going to be sort of a similar shape to here where we're playing the B minor 7. We're going to shift all of our fingers up one string. And now we also want to shift up our ring finger, so this G string, to the 8th fret. Obviously, it's kind of impossible to do that while keeping your pinky in the same place. So we're just going to put the pinky there instead, and then drop your other finger down. And then this pointer finger is going to slide up as well. Okay, so here we have a C major 7 chord shape. Here you can also let the D string ring out if you want, and that would be like a C major 9. But I tend to mute it, or at least try to. And then we're back to our G major after one bar of that. Back to B minor 7. And then just like the first time around in the chorus, we're going to go up to a D minor again. And then back here with the D minor add 9. C major bar chord for 2 bars. Down to the G. Once again, 2 bars. B flat. And then that same exact kind of bass note slide down to the C major 7. So all that is exactly the same as the first time around that we play it. You'll notice, like I said, a lot of repetition. And that is the whole song, right? Then it ends with this and it just fades out. So let's try actually working on playing it along with the original song. Obviously, I've transposed it up to match our key that we're playing in, so it's actually usually lower. But like I said, if you want to play in the original key, just tune all your strings down 3 half steps.